Every market on Earth is bleeding right now, except for this one. And for the first time in weeks, China isn't responsible. We're in one of the strongest markets on Earth right now. And if you're watching this, you're in the right place.
And now for our Counter-Strike report. New York's very own Mike Water.
Welcome back to DE News. I'm your host, Mike Water 9. Let us first examine the market cap of this week to examine the state of the market right now, February 1st. 5.47 to 5.52 market cap over the week, which is a 1.4% increase. Since it is the start of a new month, we should look at the 30-day market cap, which is down 3.6%, 5.72 to 5.51. A swift recovery on the week spells out good things for the month of February and only presents us a better buying opportunity for future plays. With around 6 to 8 weeks before we realistically get new items or new news that will shake up the market independently of China, if you have just $500, $600 sitting in your float account, maybe allocating that into a different market in the meantime could be a good play. With that being said, this is not financial advice. I am an idiot wearing a tie without a collar. Now, what's most interesting about this week's gain is that it wasn't defined by China for the first time in a while. We had them moving out of positions and waiting to accumulate in different ones. There's still a lot of accumulation on coverts and pinks within the discontinued cases. However, some gainers were knives, StatTrak weapons, which are indications of players actually buying them for casual uses and not for pure momentum trading. We've seen blips of news surrounding them waiting before the Chinese New Year to end before moving back into the skin market, and that seems to be the case. They've been very quiet over the last week and a half or so, but even with that, there's still accumulation happening, which means it's time to watch, time to find the next play before they bring in the big guns and capital flows back into the market in a few weeks from now. Slow accumulation, waiting for armory news. There's a lot of potential plays that could happen, and we got to keep our eyes peeled. This is the time where money is made. Times of boredom. As for cases, a lot of sideways movement on the week with some standout movers. The largest of which is going to be the CSGO weapon case 2, which houses the SSG-08 Blood in the Water. There's only one covert in this case, the SSG, which in theory would make it easier to pump and corner. However, all of the float caps are very, very poor, so I can't see this being a knife trade-up play, but rather an SSG factory new play. The case is up 20% on the week. Now, this could be Sparkles opening 1,000 of each case, which I'm pretty sure he hasn't done this one yet, so be cautious. However, that's the only fundamental play I could see there. The Spectrum case, again, is up, so keep your eyes peeled on that UMP and M4A1S, which I talked about on Thursday. The biggest loser, which, again, I told you to watch on Thursday's DE News, was the Gamma case, because like the Spectrum, it is a case that is the only pathway to the Gamma Doppler knives, the OG one. Those are very highly desirable, very well liked by the community in both America and China, and guarding those inputs does seem like a potential play. Gamma 1 and 2 are down 6 and 9% respectively, which makes the case itself a decent play. So keep your eyes peeled on that one for any accumulation on the skins or the cases that may be going on. As for the indexes, even though the market cap is up this week, a lot of the indexes don't bode well, specifically the low, mid, and high tier index on Price Empire. The only ones that have moved, the Sticker Index, the Agent Index, and the Alchemy Redskins Index. The Alchemy Redskins Index is a Chinese index which denotes red trade-up skins. Those three are up, so be on the lookout here, specifically in the sticker section. It seems to be getting more and more attention, and because of this fact, I will do a sticker report weekly instead of bi-weekly, because if that's where the current money is flowing, now agents are up, so it's best not to buy into a already pumped position. However, if there are some that haven't been pumped egregiously, it could be a decent play. And the logic is pretty simple. If new agents do get released, that would hurt the agent market. However, that's not a realistic expectation until the armory update in late March, early April. So, with it being February 1st, you realistically have 6 to 7 weeks to play without Valve fucking you over, just China. And since it's usually both of them, that's a good deal. Now, outside the realm of cases, collections are also down on the week, which again shows China being kind of silent in the market and accumulating capital for their next play in a few weeks. The only one that isn't down is the Anubis collection. People, including myself, are speculating that the new Armory collection will be the 2026 Anubis collection, and that's because Valve is specifically asking for arabesque skins to be submitted in the workshop in the armory. If Anubis 2026 comes to fruition and we get it in the armory in late March, early April, the next speculated armory release, that would mean Anubis 2023 collection skins stop dropping, as well as the souvenir skins. And once the souvenir skins stop dropping, that's really when you see discontinued collections start to rise, right? Things like Norse, Chop Shop, they don't have to worry about souvenir skins. But as you saw with the Overpass collection, the M4 Masterpiece didn't really take off. You didn't really see any price action there until souvenirs stopped coming in supply-wise when the Overpass 2024 collection was released. So expect similar price action, but not the same by way of Anubis. There are very, very desirable skins within this case. However, the Anubis collection case still does exist and is in circulation. The supply should be decently low because it was in the store, meaning people weren't really stocking up on it. There were, of course, some, and the case itself could be a good play if you don't want to overexpose yourself to just buying skins within the collection. If you do want to expose yourself, wait for a little bit of a pullback, but one good one is the P250 Apex Curse. It is a pink within the collection and it trades up to the Eye of Horus. It has the 0-1 float cap. The FAMAS is a great skin in its own right, however it was the victim of a pump, so the price is a little bit inflated right now, and the float cap does not reflect its price fundamentally. If you don't want the case, but you don't also want to spend $400 on a P250, I think some safer plays would be the AWP Black Nile and the AK Steel Delta. These are both blues within the collection, so their prices are relatively suppressed, but there's always demand for AK and AWP skins, and in factory new, you probably can't go wrong. In other news, on Wednesday, the Budapest stickers and the AK Aphrodite became sellable. Now, as I've said in multiple videos at this point ad nauseum, the only capsule really worth opening is going to be the Contenders capsule. 16 teams instead of 8, which means less supply of each sticker, and thus prices stay relatively higher. Seems to be the case, again, as most of the holo stickers stayed above $6 to $7. Fuck. As most of the, whatever, 6, 7. So if you spend $20 on capsules and you get one holo, you make all of your money back plus some and the other 19 stickers. If you start with a decent amount of capital, this could be a very good way to make money. Unless you get super unlucky, this is a very decent way of making profit. If you have a decent amount of starting capital, like 35 bucks, that gives you 140 capsules, you'll probably make profit. And all of the stickers are above $5 right now, and this week is usually the week in which we see the lowest of low prices in the short term. So if you could flip right now for profit, you'll be able to flip for profit over the next coming weeks while the Budapest capsules are still on sale. So consider this if you're feeling a little lucky. The AK Aphrodite was also released to the market on Wednesday, and this stupid gun has had the weirdest market interaction I've ever seen. The chart simply looks like nothing else. I said in my video to sell immediately upon market open because that's when the buy orders will be the highest. You know how it goes. Gun comes out, initially the prices are ridiculously high, then they go down super low, and then they slowly inch their way back up until they find a healthy equilibrium. I mean, that pattern happens basically 100% of the time. This is the only time I've seen the open price be the floor. And the math makes it obvious, and you shouldn't have sold if you listened to the entire video. It cost $50 to redeem. You need $50 in stars. On top of that, you need to spend time to get 125 stars. That ain't free. Time is money. Remember? Even with 5 armory passes, that's a long fucking time. So when I saw field tested and well worn going for $17, $20, you bet your ass I bought some. I also got a minimal wear one for 60 bucks. And they're all trending upwards because of course they are. Who the fuck would spend $50 and 50 hours of their time to turn it into $25? Makes no sense. Eventually people will figure it out and the market will hit its equilibrium. I don't expect field tested to reach exactly $50, maybe around $35, $40. Minimal wear should be around $80 to $90 right now, but it's fine. Let prices be suppressed for as long as possible. Because if minimal wear is $60 and field tested $20, you know what's gonna happen? Nobody's gonna redeem them. Supply will then be depressed, and then when the limited edition item is taken out, the AK Aphrodite will have one of the lowest supplies we've seen in a while. So as far as I'm concerned, let the prices be depressed. Let the idiots sell their shit. Just buy some. Accumulate slowly. No one cares if the skin's ugly. I don't give a fuck if the skin's ugly. You're fucking ugly. It's about whether the skin is undervalued or not. And it is. So I'm buying some. And I'm going to use a different skin in game. Easiest play of my fucking life. Before we look at last week's watch list and look at this week's watch list, quick word from Skinsmonkey.com. Today's video has been sponsored by the lovely ladies and gentlemen over at Skinsmonkey.com. Skinsmonkey is the industry standard trading forum and marketplace for anything and all things Counter-Strike. 24/7 support and an instant trading system so fast, those Bulgarian overpay goblins are sure to go out of business. Now, if that's not enough incentive, throw my code Mike in on the website for $5 off on your first trade. But if you trade up to $100 on the website, they'll double your bonus from 5 to 10. Now, if you don't have any skins and I just gave you some free game on investment advice, you could deposit money and use the website as a marketplace as well. In that case, my code Mike will net you a 5% deposit bonus, bringing it from 30 to 35%. So go get swagged out, courtesy of skinsmonkey.com. The bot last week didn't give me too many high conviction signals, so I went with one of the easier plays that it showed, and that was the M4 in living color. The M4 in living color is in the snakebite case, which is a relatively underpriced case, and definitely has some of the best legs to run in 2026, and with that, the coverts will benefit, on top of course, accumulation by groups. Gen 3 gloves and Gen 2 gloves both seem to have some eyes set on them to be pumped a little bit, so of course buying any of the fillers if you don't want to buy any of the gloves will be a solid idea. The M4 in living color is up pretty big this week, and it was actually one of the best daily movers over the last 24 hours. So definitely a solid pick by the bot this week. The bot is unfortunately down right now, so I cannot make a call based on that alone. However, I will add another skin to my watch list to make up for it, which leads us into my personal watch list last week. Let's see how we did. The calls were pretty broad, and they were of course the 3rd generation glove cases, Broken Fang, Recoil, and Snaky B, and the Armory in general. Prices on both stayed relatively sideways on the week. The cases of course are still a good idea. Snaky B is already discontinued and it's around 80 to 90 cents, which means if you wait long enough, that should have pretty good upside. The Recoil case should theoretically be the next one taken out. It's all but confirmed at this point, so by buying in right now, you're technically buying a discontinued case at an active price. And also we have seen some of the reds within the Recoil collection starting to be accumulated, but of course with that comes speculation and a risk. The Armory, I believe, will stay pretty depressed until the next collections come out in March, April. The discontinuation news will probably come around 2 weeks before, in which we'll see a pump then. Now we know that Wind King was speaking about accumulating the next discontinued Armory collection, so we should see a pretty penny move into the market once that happens. Right now though, most of it's still pretty down. While there is a ton of supply of the M4 Fade, if you are just looking to flip on discontinuation news, it will be a decent play. It's around $450 right now on most websites. However, it does carry risk because the Sport and Field collection, if it doesn't get removed, will really hurt the price long term. And I saw a good point by someone in our Discord. Right? If Valve wants to make money, if that's their A1 goal, which of course it is, their business, you would realistically discontinue Train and Overpass so that people keep buying the Armory, but if they want Overpass or Train skins, they would then have to go redeem souvenir cases, which makes sense from a revenue perspective. So hard to tell, but if you're not looking to expose yourself that much, blues, light blues, purples, those are your money makers anyway. Brief CS2 news before my watch list. A community group has made Danger Zone and it's back. So I'm gonna go take a look after this video. I'm gonna go see if I can get a server going, and then we will play Danger Zone on Twitch tonight if I can get it rocking. So stay tuned for that. Now for my watch list. Number 1 is going to have to be the Gamma case 1 and 2. And the items within it. It's down 6 and 9% on the week. That's a large amount of money considering it's in the $3 to $4 range on most websites. So buying the case, even if it just recovers, we'll see a 10% recovery. But if you believe the conviction, right, 2 cases, the only 2 cases that release Gamma Doppler knives and the OG finishes, then it should be a target of China, maybe not now, but in a few weeks time. So looking at fillers, blues, purples, pinks, what have you, could be a good play in the long term. The next call is a little bit of a throwback. If you're a true OG and you watched my very first video on this channel, I made one call, and that was the MP7 Astrolabe, factory new. It is from the Graphic Design Collection. It is a light blue and it carries a 0 to 1 float cap. Now the reason I'm putting this on the watch list this week is because we've seen accumulation. Accumulation is starting to happen. The Steam supply is dried up pretty much. On top of this, it's in a discontinued collection and it's on a gun that just got buffed. Combine that with a 0 to 1 float cap and you have a great runner. Now I've been buying these since like November, December, because with time they'll only get rarer and it's one of the only viable trade up options within the collection, and it's got a very low supply. It's like Norse when it was out in 2019. People are just ignoring it, and what people ignore is where the money's usually made. So be on the lookout for this. If you can get it for under $3, that would be a good play. It's already inflated on Steam, so if you buy into it there, you're a fucking moron. Look intently, find any plays under $3.50 max if it's low float. If you buy it for $12, you're a fucking idiot. Which leads me to my last call, and that's going to be the AK Aphrodite. If the only profitable way of redeeming an Aphrodite is by getting it in factory new, which mind you is a 3% chance, then nobody's fucking redeeming it. Incoming supply until prices actually find a real equilibrium is going to be 0, which not only bodes well for the future of the AK Aphrodite, but also means everything right now is underpriced. I don't give a fuck if the skin looks like garbage. It's an AK, a red AK, that you have to pay 50 plus with hours to get. It ain't worth 25 bucks. I'm sorry. Even if I'm completely wrong and it doesn't go up in the next couple of weeks, it will go up in a year from now when it's discontinued. This is a very easy high conviction play. The math simply doesn't add up here. Those are my calls this week. Thank you very much for watching. That's my watch list. Thank you very much for watching. I would like to announce a new series here on DE News, and it is called DE_Bait. Debate. I created a Google form and the QR code is on the screen right now. Feel free to scan the QR code and it will ask you what's your craziest investment idea. It doesn't necessarily have to be an investment. It could be a theory about the market you have, something you think Valve will do that'll change the fundamentals of the market, what have you. Give me a decent explanation and I will take yours and I will make a video about it in which I read it out loud, explain it, and then give my thoughts and then listen to your thoughts in the comments and on Twitch after the day in which the video is uploaded. I have some of my own too, and I'll start with that, so stay tuned for that. So that's where we are. China's on pause, and the market's up, which screams very good things for the CS2 market. We have a few weeks to prepare. Chinese New Year is on February 17th, and once that's done, we can expect things to come back in full swing, and things will be crazy, folks. So your choice is simple. Keep building fundamental positions now, or try to front run what comes in the next few weeks. I know what I'm doing. I'll be live on Twitch tonight, looking at Chinese inventories, and looking at the general state of the market, trying to find our next play. There's always a few key insights there that I don't have time to fit in every video, so stay tuned if you want the alpha there. Don't be late. Peace.